Today we're going to give you an overview of the Jesco N888 CM series 2-component dispense systems. We've currently built 3 systems on our floor, and I'm going to go down to the floor and show you more about it. All right, the basic dispense concept is it's a 2-part shot meter. If you look here closely, you've got 2 meters. You've got a resin meter, and then behind it you have a catalyst meter, and this happens to be a 10-to-1 dispenser. It can be just about any ratio you would like, but this particular one is sized like that. And it has a hydraulic power unit, which is the power source for the hydraulic cylinder. And the basic concept again is that being a shot meter, that the shot meter will refill and dispense. So during the refill, we've got 2 basic pumps, a 5-gallon pump, which is stainless steel for the 1 part, and then we have a 55-gallon drum pump for the 10 parts. So that's what feeds the dispenser over here during the refill. So during refill, the shot meter would, the pumps would turn on, refill the meters. Then during dispense, the shot meter would increment down and make production parts. And there go your hydraulic power unit. So that's the basic design concept. And then during dispense, here's the discharge hose that goes out to an applicator, which we currently just have mounted on a board to run some tests, which we're going to show you more about. So during the dispense cycle, the material would come out of the applicator, and during the refill, the meters, as I already showed you, would be refilled. So the control panel has an HMI, and at this point we will go ahead and show you how the machine works. All right, we're going to show you how to start up a machine. Typically on a morning startup, we've already turned the supply pumps on. We had the ball turn valve shut, so we went ahead and turned those on. And Joe's going to show you how this works.
Okay, at the beginning of startup, you go to your control panel. You'll hit the master start button. Right now the system is in a shutdown mode, which means the metering unit is at the lower limit switch, fully submerged in material, so the material rods stay submerged in the material. They're not exposed to air overnight or over a weekend. At this point, you would go to the control panel. After hitting master start, you go to your main screen. You go to manual. You're going to switch from shutdown to run, and you will hit the manual refill push button 1 time, and the system will refill.
You notice the rod has now come up. The rod has now come up. We're in refill position. Okay, sorry. Let's go back to the screen. Okay, I'm good.
Zoom in on the gun.
Sure.
Now with the meter fully refilled, you come over to your 1172 C-Series applicator, remove the night cap, at which point you're ready to run material without a mixer installed. And this happens by simply pressing the manual dispense push button on the front of the manual screen. You will see material flowing out of the applicator. Once you've dispensed material out of the applicator without a mixer installed, at this point you're ready to run some ratio checks. This is accomplished by taking a small Dixie cup and placing it under the outlet of each side of the applicator gun.
and then you would go over to your gram scale and weight and do some ratio validation.
At this point, you're ready to install a disposable mixer to mix both materials. You put your disposable mixer on the front end of the 1172 applicator with your shroud. Come back over to the control panel. Continue to stay on manual. There's a mixer installed selector switch here. You want to wait and run mixed material with it still being in the no position. That allows to build pressure while you prime the mixer. So we're going to go ahead and run mixed material with that being off.
Go back over to the gun here.
Once your mixer is now primed, you're ready to select the mixer installed yes button, which will now look at your pressure settings, which is on another screen, which we will go into in a few minutes. Once that is yes, you go ahead and run more mixed material, and you will notice that the pressures will adjust accordingly now that the mixer is installed. With the mixer installed in the no position, it ignores the resin and catalyst low pressure settings on this pressure setup page. A main feature of this system includes pressure transducers, one on the resin side and one on the catalyst side, which are displayed on the HMI. If you go to the main screen, we'll go a little further into the pressures. In order to get into the pressure setup, you need to log in. Currently this password is Jesco. Once you enter the password, you go to the pressure setup screen, and this allows you to change the high-low warnings and the high-low faults for both the catalyst and the resin, which is again is read at the pressure transducers. We also have a resin meter full set point, which is looking at the resin side transducer. By adjusting that, it allows the system to build sufficient pressure for optimum performance at every dispense.
So we're manually dispensing, and what we're looking for is when this pressure stabilizes right here on the resin. So after you dispense for, I don't know, 30 to 60 seconds, we're not trying to call this perfectly to the PSI, but if you notice right now, it's stabilizing at about 1850 PSI dispense pressure. So that's all we need to know. Now we can stop dispensing, and then let's go to our screen, our pressure setup screen that Joe was on. And we got what we're calling the resin meter full set point. What we want to do is set that to our dispense pressure. So we know it's 1850, currently it's set at 1820. And that way what happens is the meter recharges after each dispense cycle, maintaining a constant pressure available when you start your next dispense cycle.
Okay, we will go over the screens of the HMI, just give a quick overview of what each screen entails. Currently we're on the main menu screen. When you first start the system up, it'll show the power on screen. From there you'll go to back to the main screen. We were just in manual, which gives the ability to prime the machine, troubleshoot the machine, run some performance checks. On the manual screen we show manual mode selected and run. Those two modes need to be chosen and able to run in manual. We have a shutdown button, which when you are done for the day or before a weekend shutdown, you would select the shutdown, remove the mixer from the front end of the applicator. You would have mixer installed no. You would hit manual dispense once, and the metering unit would drive itself all the way down, hit the low or the meter empty limit switch at the bottom of the unit. And as soon as that is engaged, the system will stop, and you are able to shut the machine down for that length of time. On the manual screen, we also have a flow 2 option, which is primarily intended just for purging, running the machine a little bit quicker. There's 2 flow controls on the back of the power unit. Here you can also, as we mentioned before, manually dispense, and you can also manually refill. We show a list of faults if there were any at this time. Anything in green is in good range. Orange would be your warnings, and reds would show as faults, or faults would show as reds. It shows that your power unit motor is on, main system power is on. From the manual screen, we will go to the auto screen, which is intended for production use. On auto screen, you would be in auto and run. Those 2 modes would be selected.
If I could just add an auto screen, the robot takes over. The robot at this point would command your start and your stop dispense. You're no longer in manual mode, you're in robot mode. That's what auto is.
So in auto, you would as mentioned, you'd be in auto and run, and you would also have to be mixer installed. So we'll go back to the auto screen. Again, this shows any of your warnings. We have your pump low level warnings, your catalyst and resin pressures, and a hydraulic filter, which is just a warning indicator if your filter becomes dirty. We'll go back to the main screen. So we've gone over the manual, we've gone over the auto. There's a fault overview, which again just shows the current status of any of the warnings or fault situations. Right now everything's green, we're in a good condition. We have the alarm history page. Anytime a warning or a fault occurs, it would show up on this page. Shows any low pressure, high pressure warnings, low pressure, high pressure faults. We have the last page, which I believe is the testing auto purge screen. In this screen, this allows the operator or the system to be put in a auto purge mode where the applicator would be placed over a safe to dispense position over a waste container. You would simply select the auto purge enable button and on. At the manual testing auto purge screen on the HMI, this screen allows the machine to be put in an auto purge mode. The applicator needs to be placed over a safe to dispense location, a waste container. The system needs to be in manual. You would simply select the auto purge enable button to on, and the time lapse, which can be set in minutes, and the time duration would be the time the applicator will dispense for, is a maximum value of 30 seconds. So as you can see, there's a counter starting to count down, and once it gets to a minute, it will then purge for 30 seconds, and it will continue until it is taken out of the auto purge enable mode. When the system is done for the day or before a weekend and you're done running, you would switch over from the auto screen and go over to the manual screen. Currently it shows us an auto and run. In order to go into shutdown mode, you would select from auto into manual, and then go into mixer installed no. You would select the shutdown mode. You would go and remove the disposable mixer from the 1172 applicator. Now with the disposable mixer removed from the 1172 applicator, we are in manual and shutdown. Mixer installed, no. You hit the manual dispense push button one time. And as mentioned before, it'll run the metering unit all the way down to the meter empty limit switch. Once it hits that switch, it'll stay fully down while the system is shut down for the day.
You can't see it moving. It's moving very slowly, and but what you can see if you go over to the gun, you can see the material. We're definitely dispensing. So while we're dispensing, we're running this meter down, as Joe mentioned, and when it gets to the bottom, it will shut itself off. All right, we're still in shutdown mode, waiting for the resin or the hydraulic cylinder to extend to make the lower limit switch. And again, as mentioned previously, this is for a nighttime and or weekend shutdown. So it's still progressing, still purging. Again, it doesn't look like it's moving, but to validate that it is, we obviously can see it coming out of the gun. So, and we're almost to the bottom now. Finally reached its lower limit switch and is satisfied for shutdown.
Now with the meter fully submerged in shutdown mode, we go ahead and wipe the front end off. We then take the 1172 nightcap and pack it with petroleum jelly. Go ahead and screw that on the front end, and that prevents any of the material from curing on the applicator. And that is the shutdown mode. Now with the nightcap fully installed, go ahead and hit master stop. It'll kill the power to the machine. At that point, you would go over and shut your supply pumps off. Your material ball valve, as well as your air on the back of the pump, on both the resin and the catalyst.